one day that means a little good one. Welcome here to Mobile.
Jumbo, hi everybody. Jumbo, everyone.
Which means it's mine too.
Jumbo, where One of your game driver today's photo safari to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. As we're moving to the reserve, I do need everyone to please remain seated and hang on to those cameras tightly, as the Harambe Wildlife Reserve does not allow us to stop, pick up anything that could possibly fall from the vehicle. The Harambe Wildlife Reserve was established in 1971 to help protect the animals you'll see out here today. Over the years, many of the animals have become less afraid of humans, and that is great for safaris like this one. Now guys, while you're on the reserve, we have one major rule. It is to remain seated at all times. It goes for adults and children. So adults, if you have children, please don't hold them up or stand them up. No matter what, no matter where, no matter how, it is very dangerous to do. Adults, if you do not have children, please don't hold yourself up or stand yourself up. Again, no matter what, no matter where, no matter how, it is still very dangerous to do. Oh, now they got that major rule out of the way. Here we go in the little cherry forest. You want to keep your eyes open, as many of the animals' natural colors and markings help them easily blend into the background. Watering holes like these are important gathering places here in the forest, and usually one of our best chances to see some of the more rare species like the black rhino. Now sadly, black rhinos, they have been poached nearly to extinction. Hundreds of thousands have been killed for their horns. Only estimated to be about 5,000 of those powerful animals left in the world. Very sad if you ask me. They are incredible animals to watch, especially when you can find them. Ooh, it looks like you guys get to see exactly how incredible two of them are. There's one back there, but there's also one laying down right up here. An amazing animal and incredibly massive. They weigh in about 3,000 pounds full grown. Believe it or not, even for that size, though, they are pretty quick. They run about 35 miles per hour top speed. Now while we're on the reserve, you'll probably notice we're not really going to stop for every animal. Unfortunately, the reserve just doesn't allow it. And when we do stop, it really won't be for that long. But if you guys want great pictures, go and place your camera on a sports or action setting. Anything with a fast shutter speed does tend to do pretty well out here. Ooh, like if you want to catch that animal up on the left, reddish orange animal called a bongo. And then the black and white birds up here, these are saddle-billed storks. Bongo is a very special animal to see. Because you saw him, you can now tell people you have seen a ghost. You got a picture? You can prove it. They are so rarely seen, they are known as the ghosts of the forest. We're going to go up over this hill and then back down through the Sophie River. Usually a great place to try to look for some hippos, as they are known to be in that area. Hippos are one of the largest animals here in Africa. The hippo calf, when born, can weigh about 85 pounds, and at full grown, they can tip the scales at well over 5,000 pounds. Even though they're so big, they are considered great swimmers, and they can reach the riverbed like the one on the right. You will walk along it. But do not worry if you miss that one on the right. There's a different part of the river to the left, and usually a better view and a better angle on that side. Anyway, so hang tight and get up to the left side of the river, and whoa, look behind that island. It's a whole float of hippos. That's what a group's called, a float. Now they do typically stay in the water during the day, and then they'll come up at night to feed, where they can eat up to 150 pounds of vegetation every single night. Also on the left on the island, gray and white birds are pink-backed pelicans, and just at the end of the island there's a little black bird who has a white chest. That's called a white-breasted cormorant. And a couple more hippos just up past the island. Now those are herbivores. When they come up to eat, they'll eat plant life like bushes, grasses, different things like that. you go over this old bridge, you're going to want to take a very, very cautious look down. Not only is that a long way down, but those are Nile crocodiles. They run about 10 miles per hour on land and have a jaw closing pressure about 2,000 pounds per square inch. They're also quite big. They get up to about 20 feet long, full grown. I don't know about you, but they always look hungry to me. Let's get out of here. Something very different coming up in front of us. That is a baobab. It's also known as an upside down tree because it looks like it has its roots sticking right up in the air. Those trees live thousands of years and they are incredibly resilient, being able to survive long periods of drought by holding water in their trunks and going leafless up to 9 months of the year. Now this right here, one of my favorite views of the entire reserve. These are the Serengeti grasslands. And as you can see, they're home to some more favorite animals, like giraffes. Also home to elephants and lions. Now, the first couple giraffes there are actually two different types. The first one is a Maasai, the second is a reticulated. You can tell what type by the pattern. Reticulated get their name from the Latin term reticulata, meaning net, because of the net-like pattern. Maasai has a little bit more of a lacy or a regular edged their pattern. But guys, as we're going, I do have a very important and very, very serious question for y'all. Does anybody at all like baby animals? Yes. Yes. What about a baby giraffe? Yeah? I'll take that as a yes. Coming up on the right, this is a baby. He's a very big baby. When born, he was about 6 feet tall, meaning even then he would have been able to look most adult humans in the eye. And he's actually a bit bigger than that now. And he is doing one of the giraffe's favorite things to do throughout the day, and that is eating. They eat anywhere from 16 to 20 hours every single day. Wow. Now you saw he was a bit smaller than the adults. He is quite a bit smaller. They're about 18 to 20 feet tall, full grown, and even though all giraffes will have long necks, they only have 7 vertebrae in their neck, just like humans. Those are just quite a bit bigger. Now something else bigger on a giraffe you just won't see here today will be their heart. Full-grown giraffe's heart can be 2 feet long and weigh about 25 pounds. Oh, on the left-hand side, those are antelopes over there, sable antelopes. Those are the symbol of the entire Harambe Wildlife Reserve. You might notice some have a lighter color. It's either a younger male or female. Males as they mature tend to get a very dark chocolate brown color. And most dominant male will be the reason they're called a sable. Get a sable black color. And to the right, that mound of earth is a termite mound. You look a little bit farther out, there's tokens of earth. Those are also termite mounds. They can be as hard as concrete. Elephants love to use them as scratching posts, so once they get worn down, antelopes use them as like posts over the tall grasses out here in Savannah. Now the landscape here, oh wait a minute, look to the left, quickly, little animal back there, that's called a springbok. Now you go from very big baby to very small adult. That little one only stands about 3 to 4 feet tall, full grown, but don't let that size fool you. The name comes from the ability to spring straight in the air, about 10 to 11.5 feet. Another reticulated giraffe up here on the left-hand side. Alright, so take a look at this landscape. It is maintained by these animals. For example, the elephants act as bulldozers pushing down those trees to eat them. The giraffes, they act as pretty shears trimming out the bottoms of the trees. Antelopes mow down the grasses, and gazelles and warthogs trim up the edges. In a balanced ecosystem, there's enough food around here for everyone. And that is a very good thing. Especially when you take a look at the beautiful land here, beautiful area, consider this is the wild Africa we're all working so hard to help conserve. A couple more Maasai giraffes out on the right. Again, you can tell what they are by their pattern. Maasai just a bit more of a jagged edge, lacy edge to their pattern. look at those horns. Coming up on the left-hand side, take a look at the trees. See an animal with very large white horns. It's called the Ankoli cattle. Those horns, about 6 feet long and about 20 inches in circumference at the base of them when they're full grown. As big as the horns are, they're probably not as heavy to the animal as they do look to us. There's a honeycomb pattern in there, allowing the animal to have blood vessels run through the horns, which they then use to regulate their body temperatures. And getting a closer look, you may also know them by a different name, Watusi. It's the tribe that first domesticated them out here in Africa. The only domesticated animal you'll find anywhere on this reserve. So the silver gray animal out on the right, that was a wildebeest. They are known to have one of the largest animal migrations in the entire world, though it was kind of a small herd. I only saw a few over there. That migration is where they get their name. In Afrikaans, it means wild beast, because when they're migrating through an area, it looks like one wild beast would be moving through that area. And coming up here, an area of the reserve called Monkey Point. It's named for the troop of mandrills known to be in that area. They tend to hide in the trees and up in the rocks. And we're also going into elephant country. I don't really think I'll have to tell you why it's called that. Because coming up on the right, we have a very large African elephant. So left-hand side, take a look past the trees in the rocks. You can see a few of them hiding in there. And right inside the beautiful elephant over there. There are a couple of mandrills on the left. There's some on the rocks within the trees. There's also one moving behind the rocks. As beautiful as that creature on the right is, we do have very sad news from the reserve about elephants. One of their greatest threats? Humans. Poachers target them for their tusks, which are made of ivory. Also, as elephants face habitat loss, those powerful creatures and humans are sharing more of the same areas. And that is very dangerous for both of us. Now, the more we learn about that animal, the better prepared we can be to help them. For example, our scientists here study elephant communication, see how that animal interacts, and what they will specifically need to survive. I'll tell you, that's probably a bull or a male. They tend to be loners. Females and young elephants you'll see in groups. They like to stick together in very tight social herds.
You gotta get the shot, get in there.
Oh, great. Everyone please, maybe just hang on. And you might want to press your fingers to make sure it's not exactly look at us. Okay, what was that? Whoa! Okay, don't go that way, guys. Go right, right, other right, other right. Oh, nice, guys. Nice, guys. Please don't move. Oh, man, everyone all right back there? Did we lose anyone or anyone you liked at least? You like, right? No? Alright, we're getting out of here. If you did lose someone, let them warn them me and tell because this driver is not going back there anytime soon. Oh, man. Oh, whoa. Take a look here. Look at the red clay on the left and right side. Great indicators to look for when you're looking for herds of elephants. There's tusk marks and footprints. Elephants, they do eat small portions of that clay to be able to get the beneficial minerals out of it. It means you see those markings, you just might be getting close to either where a herd is or they have been. And I'm kind of hoping for the first one. Let's see. Also some kind of static coming in. Maybe getting close to a village if we're going to get a radio station. We'll keep it out here. No, for as long as we can keep it anyway. Also coming up on this left side, these are greater flamingos. They want to lie to speak coloring of all the flamingo species. Now, when they're born, they're not that color at all. They'll be gray, and then they'll get the pink coloring over their lifetime from the brine chimpanzees. And this would be considered a relatively small group because the groups of flamingos can get above 10,000. But no matter the size of the group, they do have a name for it. It's called a flamboyance of flamingos. Coming up here, a dark brown animal called a bontebok. This is another animal you kind of want to take a close look at. You won't find them in the wild anymore. They are only found on reserves. Take a look all the way out on your left. The very back look like rocks, but those are white rhinos back there.
See the rhinos like that too?
Yeah, I know they're not really white, and it does not come from that color. It comes from the Afrikaans word white and wide because they have a broad square mouth. Major difference between black white rhino, broad mouth on the whites, or light rhino. Great effort does go in protecting them. No poachers are ruthless, and they are well financed. We'll target those animals on Africa's largest and most well-known preserves state. There are a couple more differences between white and black rhino besides that mount. For one, white are a bit bigger. By a bit, I mean about 2,000 pounds difference. White rhinos weighing 5,000 pounds full-grown, black rhinos smaller at the 3,000 mark. White also tend to be more social. You'll see them more in the groups called a crash. Black rhinos typically are loners. Occasionally you see them gathered together at the watering hole, but more often than not, they do tend to be found alone. Oh, those aren't alone. Left-hand side up on the hill, those are cheetahs. Laying down right there. Considered one of the fastest of all land animals. They run about 60 miles per hour over short distances. And typically, they're daytime hunters. Like most large cats, they rely on their sight for hunting, rather than their sense of smell. These are coffee rocks up here, large rocks that jut out of a savanna. Usually a great place to look for large cats. You use them as like at points and just places in general. Play around. Oh, and staring up at you up on the right-hand side, that would be an ostrich up there. She does stand about 7 feet tall, full grown. And she's showing you she has wings. Ostriches do have wings, but they are flightless birds. Don't really need to fly. They're faster than the rhino. They run about 40 miles per hour, as opposed to the rhino's 35. Also on the right, there are some zebras. I think I actually might be able to get you a bit closer. There's another one right there. Each zebra you will ever see does have their own unique pattern of stripes. When they're in herds, they use those patterns to confuse predators. If the zebra can't confuse a predator, they have a very powerful hind kick. So powerful, in fact, they have been known to be able to break the jaw of a lion. And these are warthog burrows, as well as a warthog right up there. Now the warthogs do dig those burrows with their snout, and they go and test out and serve as protection from predators. They also reuse other animals' abandoned burrows. You guys remember how big that black rhino was? Even laying down, you got to see how massive that animal was. And in fact, you just saw how big the white rhino was. Well, compared to that little animal, I think they run the exact same top speed, about 35 miles per hour. It's monster eggs, those may belong to the female we saw earlier. Large gold eggs weigh about 3 pounds each, and to the right, zebras. Yep, some more white rhinos in the back there. They're up on the hill on the left. Also on the right, some white birds are yellow-billed storks. Those are carnivorous birds. They eat anything from snakes to frogs, fish to even other small birds. And the annex I was telling you about up on the left-hand side, up on the hill, they have the spiral and boards on that. Those annex are considered critically endangered in the wild. There's only about 300 left that are known about out there. Oh, pretty interesting. They go almost their entire life without needing to drink one drop of water. Addicts get most of the water their body needs from food that they eat. I do hope you guys had a great time. Also, we got some great pictures. Got to see a lot of animals. And we did hear the words endangered and extinction just a few times. We all know what those words mean. Kind of scary words, because once those animals are gone, they are sadly gone for good. But there is good news if you and I do our...
As we say here in Harambe Books, that is to win day, which means let's go. Now, Jumbo, everyone, how's everyone doing out here today? Pretty good?
Jumbo!
All right, Jumbo. Well, my name's Veronica. I'm going to be your game driver here on this photo safari into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, the reserve was established here in 1971 to protect the local wildlife that we'll be seeing here today in our safari. Now, if you happen to look straight up above your heads, there is an animal spotting guide up there. Feel free to please use it as your own personal cheat sheet as we do enter the reserve. Now, as being cannot stop for every single animal, so I am recommending now that you place your camera or your cell phone on an action, sports, or a shutter setting. Click your camera button a million times, deleting the ones you don't like later works just as fine as well. Now, in just a few moments here, we are going to be starting off by entering in the Little Eye Forest. The animals that tend to live here blend in with their natural environments, making them a little bit hard to spot, yet easy to miss. Now, what makes safaris like this one a great one is that over the years, these animals have become really accustomed to not only the people, but the trucks as well. So just a few moments, we're going to be making our way here in the reserve. Now, we're just waiting for the all clear from the warden, and it looks like we're about to get it. Hey, a second now. Alright, and it looks like we're all clear. Here we go.
Now I'm going to drop it. Oh, this is... Oh, yeah.
Now we're actually going to be starting off with the watering holes, kind of like this one on our left-hand side we're going to be seeing here in just a few seconds. Now that's because these are really important gathering places for all animals. Now they give us a greater opportunity to spot some of our most rare kinds, which include the black rhino. Now unfortunately for the black rhino, there's actually less than about 5,000 of them found in our world today. Though fortunately enough for us, we get to spot one of those bad boys here on our left-hand side. Now there are lots of similarities and differences between both black and white rhino. For example, the black rhino is not only smaller, they're darker, their jaws are shaped a little bit more differently, and they happen to be more aggressive than the white rhino. Something they do both have in common is being targeted by poachers for their horns that they have, highly valued in the black market, but only made out of keratin. Now that is the same exact stuff that make up our own hair, our own skin, and even our own nails. Now remember, takes a look on your sharp left-hand side, you'll see a gorgeous but highly endangered species. Now that is called a bongo, or we call it the ghost of the forest. Now that's because their horns tend to lean backwards so they can swiftly move to the trees, bushes, and the leaves, hence getting that name, the ghost of the forest. Black and white birds in the distance are called saddle-billed storks, receiving their name from a yellow saddle-shaped cap you can just barely see on their bills from here. Though an amazing thing about that bird, its wingspan is as wide as this truck. Fully grown, they can grow to be about 5 feet tall as well. There might be some hippos out here. Now we're heading out of the Little Ivory Forest and right into Southview River, and look here on your right hand side. You guys see those hippos there?
Oh, yeah.
Now hippos, once they're born, they can actually weigh to be about 85 pounds. Now that's because fully grown male hippos can weigh as much as 5,500 pounds. Females weigh in typically just a tad bit less like the ones here on your left hand side. Although they can swim, they tend to sink to the bottom walking along the riverbed. Now that back there is what you call a bloat of hippos. That's a scientific name for a group. Now we're going to be stopping here just ahead for these hippos on the left. Now you can see a few of them submerged underneath the water. Now they spend about 8 minutes at a time without having to come up for any oxygen. Now, those pelicans on the island back there are called the pink-backed pelicans, getting their name from a pink color they receive on their backs, but only during mating season does any of this even occur. Now, this here is also home to the white-faced whistling duck and the white-breasted cormorant. Now, I do ask so that everyone please remain seated because we're going over this bridge with the Nile crocodiles just underneath us. Now, Nile crocodiles weigh in as much as 500 pounds, though they have a jaw-crushing power of 2,000 pounds. Now, that's per square inch of those jaws of theirs. During warmer weathers, you can see them with their jaws wide open. Completely normal and happens quite often because that's how they regulate their body temperatures. Now over this hill into a completely different ecosystem we go. We're actually going to be making our way towards the Serengeti Grasslands. Personally, my most favorite view of the reserve. Now, we'll spot the differences here, not just for the animals, but with the landscape too. Speaking of landscape, take a look at this tree here on your right-hand side. Now that is what we call a baobab tree, or you can say the upside-down tree. Surviving long periods of drought, they can store water in those trunks of theirs, going leafless to about 9 months out of the year. Now, a lot of the animals, including the elephants, tend to use these trees to their advantage. Now, what they do is kind of take down these trees as a herd to try to get to the water stored inside them. Yeah, these chains that you see just ahead of us are called cattle guards. The real purpose is just to keep the animals in their own kind of separate areas here, because, of course, we don't want any cheetahs mixed with our zebras, because we have no zebras, right? So pretty much. Now, this is the Serengeti Grasslands, so stretching upon hundreds of miles in eastern Africa. Also acts as a superhighway for millions of migrating animals each and every year. Now, this is also home to some of our most famous and maybe even your favorites you're going to get to spot along the way here.
Yeah, he's right by the road, too. There's two of them. One
Now you can actually see a lot of giraffes kind of scattered all over the place here. There's a Maasai giraffe going to be pretty up close here to our right. Now we actually have two different species of giraffes, which is the interesting part. We have the reticulated and the Maasai. Now the reticulated giraffe getting its name from the Latin word reticulata, which means net. So they have a net pattern around them, really smooth edges as well. Whereas Maasai giraffes, their patterns are small, are scattered, and really rough. Though all of giraffes here are usually at about the same height as well, that's about 18 to 20 feet tall, they do not have sharp teeth, nor do they have sharp claws. So they really do rely on their height and their keen eyesight combined to give them an advantage when to see their predators before we spot them. Now, that giraffe, unfortunately, is very close to the road, so I won't be able to stop in front of him, but I am going to be going super slowly. Now the only animals On your left-hand side, you can see some sable antelopes as well, known as the Emlyn, or you can say the mascot to Raw Reserve here. Both the male and female sable antelopes carry antlers, so the males are a little bit longer, so they now go up and they curve around as well. Usually the more dominant sable antelope back there, the really dark one, displays his dominance by darkening its coats. Here, I'll stop with this little tiny one here. That's actually a baby here. About a year old. You see how he can't even reach? He's trying to. The little animal right behind him, way in the back, is called a springbok, trying to get its name from its ability in which it does spring up in the air repeatedly once it's frightened. When it does so, it springs about 10 feet in the air. And look at this Maasai giraffe here.
Oh, look over that.
Yeah, continue.
He's trying. Aww. One's trying to get a branch, the other one's trying to get a twig. Now all the animals here, just like the giraffes, the springbok, and the sable antelopes, are the ones that did help create and do a lot of the upkeeping of this gorgeous environment for themselves. Now that's because they act as a construction crew all together, having their own site-specific jobs. Now we typically spot elephants here acting as bulldozers. Now what they do is pull down the trees to eat them, allowing grasses to spread. Giraffes will then act as burning shears, eating the undersides of all leaves, allowing light to then penetrate through. The zebras and larger antelopes will then mow down the grasses, allowing little nibblers like gazelles and warthogs to trim up the edges. Though in a naturally balanced ecosystem, well, you can say there's enough food here for everyone, and this is the wild Africa we've been working so very hard to conserve. Now, one of my more favorite animals is actually going to be spotted here to our left-hand side. Now, they're called the Ankole cattle, or you can even say Watusi cattle, for them being domesticated by the Watusi tribe. Look at these really large horns that they have. Here, I'm going to get a good view for everyone here, just up ahead, to make sure everyone can see them.
Hook 'em.
See those large horns? There's two of them back there.
Hook 'em horns.
Now, in fact, these are the only domestic animals that we actually have here on our reserve. Now, their horns look extra heavy, though they are completely hollow, having a honeycomb structure inside and lots of blood vessels that actually accompany the animal's horns, keeping them very cool. Now those gray animals, you can see there on the right-hand side are some white-bearded wildebeest. Now they're actually nicknamed Gnu, that's G-N-U, known from the grunting noise they make. Also known to be one of the largest migration group of animals in the world. Now you can see about two of them, but there's a few more probably hiding around there. Now we won't get a really good view of them, so hopefully we can kind of see them around here. But at this moment, we are going to be swinging on by to Monkey Point, getting its name from a troop of mandrills that meet here. Now, mandrills are monkeys, and they have really vibrant blue markings, not only on their noses, but it's also found on their hind sides as well. Now, take a look here to your left, you might be able to spot a few. Oh, there's one walking around. You see him way in the back? Right into the bushes. I spot a few more. Let's see if we can get a better view. Yeah, you can see a lot of them back in the bushes kind of walking around. Oh, you see him? He's kind of gone there. Now, we won't get a really good view of them because it looks like they're really trying to hide, but we might just be spotting something here pretty soon.
I never see those.
Oh, wow. Everyone, go ahead and look on your right-hand side. Look at that elephant over there. See him? Now, unfortunately, the elephants in the wild are actually facing two major threats. Now, one of the threats that they're facing is a habitat loss being caused by electronics like cell phones and even cameras. And that's because they contain minerals called coltan inside, which are mined in Africa. And as the mining continues, all these very same animals are being forced to live alongside humans, causing dangerous interactions between the two. So we can recycle or resell our electronics, well, we can save the lives of hundreds and thousands of animals here.
Go out your cell phone.
Now I do ask that everyone just kind of remain seated as we go over this rickety bridge. Not too bad though, just kind of hold on to everything. I'm not joking, that's for sure. Might be joking. You never know, so it's good to kind of stay seated. Now, if we have a look on both sides of the clay pits here on both left and right hand side, you notice lots of animal tusk markings on the ground, giant footprints. Let's go ahead and follow them all the way up. They might just lead us. Look at that, an elephant! Well, see his little tiny ears? And the elephants love to eat the clay back there, not only because it tastes really good to them, though in fact it's also really good for them, giving them a chance to receive some beneficial minerals, some of which are kind of hard to get out there in their daily diets while in the wild. Now they're not the only elephants we're going to be seeing out here because there's actually plenty more. We have a herd here. See that really tiny one out there? Now here just ahead of us, we're going to be seeing a flamboyant flamingos. Now these flamingos are known as greater flamingos, known to be the lightest shade of pink you'll find on them. Although they are born gray, they do receive the pink color from the keratin found in the foods that they eat here. Now some of their most favorite treats happen to be shrimp, shellfish, and krill, with of course brine shrimp being their most favorite one. Now here we are going to be heading toward white rhino territory. Now unfortunately, despite great efforts to protect the white rhinos, they're still being targeted by poachers to this day. Not only on Africa's biggest, but even on Africa's most well-known reserves. Now poachers keep targeting the white rhinos for their horns that they have because they are highly valued in box. Unfortunately hunted nearly to extinction. No longer found in our wild, only thriving on reserves like this one. Now, predators were actually targeting the Bontabox more so for their coats, not their horns, so they tend to have a purple tint to them. Just ahead here on our left-hand side, two really large cats here laying down. You're actually going to be seeing some cheetahs, one worn to the back and the one kind of just up here. About 60 miles per hour, they do happen to run, making them the fastest latest animal on Earth. But unfortunately, they can only keep up those speeds of 60 miles per hour for about 20 seconds at a time, relying on their eyesight much more than their sense of smell. So when it really does come to a cheetah's hunting method, what they do is hide and stalk their prey. Once it gets a little bit closer up, well, they rush toward them there, giving them quite a bit of surprise. Now these beautiful red rock formations up ahead are called Kobe rocks. Now these actually house both king and queen of the savannas. Now the lions love to hang out here to scope out their prey from high vantage points. Though they love to also remain inactive and sleep about 20 to about 21 hours out of their day. So kind of sleep just as much as your everyday house cat usually does.
Pretty much the whole day.
We're going to get a great view of those zebras here just on the other side. Don't worry, we're actually going to get a little bit closer to them. Now, no true zebras do have the same stripes. They're as unique as a fingerprint. Now, you can tell zebras are black with white stripes. Now, white with black if you looked at their noses. And if you've ever wondered how strong is a high kick to a zebra, well, they can break the jaws of the attacking lion with one kick, and usually that's all it takes as well. Not too many lions out there whatsoever. But someone that is out and awake, on your left is the warthog. Now, the warthog is the world's largest preying animal, building those burrows you see with those razor sharp tusks that they have. That's a defense mechanism they use to back themselves in the burrows. Now, that's because predators do not think they act, so as they rush toward them, they do get quite a bit of a surprise. Really picky animals as well, so if they were the ones that built their burrows, believe it or not, they're the only ones that are going to be living in their burrows. But if they were happening to migrate to a different area, they'd actually rather make a brand new one than pick out an old one that's already pre-made for them. Here are those zebras, a few more rhinos, and even the ostrich, the largest bird in the world, cannot fly, but it can run up to speeds of 35 and 40 miles per hour. Now that is a female ostrich you're taking a look up. That's because she is gray and white when it comes to her feathers. Male ostriches are usually in about the same colors of black and white. Now heading toward Magadi Glen we go, and in Magadi Glen we spot a really rare sighting of an animal. Now that animal is called Addax, that's A-D-D-A-X. Now unfortunately for the Addax, they're facing the same exact habitat loss as the elephants are. Hit them so hard, believe it or not, there's only about 300 of them left in the wild. Though, thanks to reserves like this, so the new given and found number was found for them. Now that number is 1,000, and of course 1,000 is not a lot, but it is way better than 300, or way better than 0. See them there to our right-hand side as well, with those beautiful white and sandish colored coats, spiral horns as well, that actually change coats throughout the seasons. Now, usually these animals are actually desert antelopes. They spend a majority to almost their whole entire lives without drinking any water whatsoever, because the little water they do get comes from the plants that they eat. Any wilderness explorers, you guys have all been here riding on the Simba 1. If you guys wanted to find out ways of not only how to protect your local wildlife, but the ones all over the world, it is as simple as placing a bird feeder just outside of that home of yours. Further educating yourself about the animals, landscapes, and ecosystems can actually help further protect them and even us throughout the future. Now, here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we have something called the Wildlife Conservation Fund, taking place at any quick service restaurant or merchandise shop. So whether you go there and donate $1, 50 cents, 25 cents, any loose change will be rounded up to the highest dollar. You get a cool button that says you help donate it, and it doesn't help for animals out here, but it does help the ones back home in Africa and these larger organizations working around the clock to help further protect them as well. Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye, and that is far too sad, yet far too final, and we don't say goodbye to new friends here. Now, one thing we say is Kuwaharini. That's a Swahili phrase that means to go well. So, Kuwaharini, everyone, have a magical time out here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, wherever your journeys may take you. Asante Sana, and thanks for touring with us here. Now, please do not be afraid to go a little wild out there, because we are in Africa, and it is a jungle. Just try not to go too wild, because we're in Africa here, and we're at pretty much Disney's version of a jungle. Jambo Warden!